The UN calculates that there are more than 7 billion living humans on Earth, yet 200 years ago we numbered less than 1 billion. Recent estimates suggest that 6.5% of all people ever born are alive right now. For thousands of years, population grew slowly, but in recent centuries it has jumped dramatically. Between 1900 and 2000, the increase in world population was 3 times greater than the entire previous years of humanity.
This puts our world at danger. A picture of world population in the very long run fits the pattern of exponential growth, yet an empirical observation of how growth rates have developed in the course of the last century reveals that this pattern no longer holds. The annual rate of population growth has recently been going down. A long historical period of accelerated growth has thus come to an end. Modeling is a way of using math equations to predict what will happen to a population over time. Neuroscientists have come up with a mathematical equation that may help predict calamities such as financial crashes in economic systems and population growth over time. This mathematical equation is called crystal ball math. Crystal ball math uses mathematics and detailed computer simulations to show that a measure of information flow reaches a peak just before a system moves from a healthy state to an unhealthy state. Such phase transitions are common in many real systems and are often highly significant. If the principles generalize in other real-world complex systems such as climate change or disease control or population growth, it could open up the possibility of catastrophes being averted before they happen. The first and simplest model was developed in the late 1700s by Thomas Malthus. He noted that with unlimited resources, most populations will grow exponentially. This leads to Malthus's principle of population. Because of this unequal power between production and reproduction, population must always be kept down to the level of the means of subsistence. 1800s, a second equation was developed by Pierre-François Verhulst. Following Malthus, Verhulst's hypothesis that the small populations increase geometrically because the supply of resources exceeds demand. Then, as supply and demand balance, population growth is constant. Finally, as demand exceeds supply, population growth decreases at the same rate that it has increased. Verhulst describes this process with an equation that enables him to predict when a population will reach any given size, called the logistic curve. Rapid population growth affects us and the environment immensely. Think of the forests and grasslands cut down and plowed under worldwide for agriculture development. Think of the farmlands displaced by suburbia, the rivers, lakes, and oceans choked with our toxic waste. These are visible signs of gross mismanagement of our resources and reaching the carrying capacity of our land all around us. And these populations are only increasing as we increase in numbers. Carrying capacity is a function of the number of people, the amount of resources each person consumes, and the ability of the earth to process all the waste we produce. If we continue to use more resources than the earth provides us with, our population will start to decline. However, there are at least 9 steps we can take to slow or stop population growth without drastic population control measures. Number 1 is to provide safe and effective contraceptive options for both sexes. With 2 out of 5 pregnancies never wanted, lack of access to good family planning services is among the biggest gaps. Number 2 is to guarantee education through secondary school, especially for girls, because women who have completed at least some secondary school have fewer children on average. Number 3 is to eradicate gender bias. Women who have equal terms with men are most likely to postpone childbearing and have fewer children. Number 4 is to offer age-appropriate sexuality education, which can help prevent unwanted pregnancies and hence reduce birth rates. Number 5 is to end all financial benefits aimed at helping parents by linking these not to the number of children they have, but to parenthood status itself. Number 6 is to integrate education to students to make well-informed choices about the impacts of their behavior, including childbearing, on the environment. Number 7 is to put prices on an additional family member by calculating taxes and increased food costs, which can decrease birth rates without any involvement by non-parents in reproduction. Number 8 is to adjust to an aging population, which must be met with the needed adjustments, such as increased labor participation, rather than by offering incentives to women to have more children. Number 9 is to convince leaders to commit to stabilizing population by empowering women to make their own reproductive choices. Using the crystal ball math equation, most experts assume that the world's population will rise from today's 7 billion to 9 billion by 2050.
Overpopulation has taken over the world, and India is one of the most impacted the most by it. Some of the effects that have occurred are decreases in food availability, poor distribution of food resulting to hunger and deaths, shortage in medical facilities and services, problems with power shortage and distribution, lack of educational facilities and services, increased government debts, less employment opportunities, more number of illiterates, increased instances of crime, water shortage, increase in industrial and community waste, air, water, and land pollution, increase in population. Though overpopulation is a great problem of our time, thanks to the advances in technology and neuroscientists, mathematical equations such as the crystal ball math equation, steps can be taken in order to strive for a better future.